Welcome back to TCM. I'm here with my dear colleague, Professor Patrick Jagoda. You're chair of the Cinema and Media Studies Department, our department, and you are the faculty director of this space we're in right now, the Weston Game Lab. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So our next film, Foul Play from 1978, has a scene where we see people playing Scrabble. But before talking more about Scrabble, I wonder if you could talk about the importance of studying games at a university. This is the year of games at the University of Chicago. Tell us what that involves.
So this is a university-wide initiative in which we're playing games, designing games with students, and the University of Chicago has this reputation for being a place where fun comes to die. It's not true, as you know. It's a very playful place. We're trying to dispel that myth as quickly as we possibly can. But yeah, I mean, we're studying games from so many different perspectives. We have economists thinking about economic game theory. We have game designers, of course, thinking about the art of games. We have anthropologists helping us think about how people actually play games in the world. It's been a very exciting year of programming. We're showing films, all kinds of events.
Yeah, there's so many films that feature games, sometimes in huge ways, sometimes in smaller ways. And the film we're about to watch, Foul Play from 1978, has a moment where we see some people playing Scrabble. So overall, this is a comedy thriller starring Goldie Hawn and Chevy Chase. They get wrapped up in an assassination plot involving a visiting dignitary. It's a funny film. But when we see the game of Scrabble being played in the film, it's a little bit surprising. Maybe you could tell us about Scrabble, the background of this very popular game.
Yeah, it's a word game, as we all know. It's played on a 15 by 15 board. And this game was invented in 1931. And since it was published in 1948, it's sold 165 million copies. So chess and checkers are more popular. Monopoly is a more popular modern game. But this game has sold significantly more than Clue, Candyland, Trivial Pursuit, many games that we know. It's one of the most popular games in the United States and around the world.
Amazing. I mean, I knew that this was a game that people in my family really loved, the one-upsmanship in terms of language, but I had no idea that it was that popular.
Yeah, there was even a game show starting in 1984 that was focused on Scrabble that ran all the way through the 1980s, and there were several other versions of it after that. It's been adapted into video games from the PC to the Nintendo Wii. Yeah, it's an incredibly popular game.
And it must operate in different languages, too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But probably with different distribution of how many letters you get.
I would think so. I've only played it in English, to be honest.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at Foul Play and we'll see how Scrabble figures into it and talk more about that after the film.
Great.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Looking forward.
Let's take a look from 1978. Here is Foul Play. Back with me to discuss Foul Play is my colleague, Professor Patrick Jagoda, here at the University of Chicago. So you gave us some background on Scrabble before we watched this film, but let's talk about the scene when Goldie Hawn is trying to escape these kidnappers, these murderers, and she can't get the attention of two old ladies because they're so wrapped up in a game of Scrabble. It's a really funny moment.
Yeah, they're so immersed in this game. And of course, the joke is that they create 3 sets of obscenities. And I will say, I can't say the words out loud, but 2 of them are actually legal words in Scrabble.
Really?
Yeah, because you're allowed to use a bunch of different slang words. It's part of the Scrabble dictionary. So it is actually a consistent and accurate joke.
I love when she gets corrected about the spelling of the word, because what I remember from the really intense games of Scrabble in my family are the challenges. That's not a word. That's not how you spell that word. You do anything you can to try to get rid of your letters. Yeah.
It becomes very personal. I mean, you fight to the death in some cases. And it's also a game that happens in the background. So you might be having a conversation about something completely unrelated, and then the game comes back into focus. I mean, this is one thing that's so interesting about games. When we watch a film at the movie theater, we're very focused. When we look at a painting at an art museum, for instance, we might be very focused on that. But with a game, it's unfolding in the domestic space, oftentimes with so many other kinds of distractions.
Absolutely, yeah. And then when you think about how they can figure into a film, I mean, that's a funny moment that stops and pauses there, but probably there are countless moments when we see people playing games in the background of films that seem completely incidental, but they tell us so much about the characters and their setting and the historical moment as well.
Yeah, there are some films that are focused on games like poker or chess in a very focused way, but in most cases, games are totally in the background and are often forgettable. So it's really fun that we're focusing on them today.
Let's talk about the year in which this film was released. It's 1978. We have these older women playing Scrabble, but there is a rise of a new type of game. Video games are really coming to the forefront, becoming extremely popular during this period, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, this comes out in 1978. In 1977, the Atari 2600 video game system launches and becomes like one of the biggest video game systems to date. 1978 is also the rise of arcade games in many ways. It's the beginning of the golden age of arcade games. So Space Invaders is the game of the year that year, for instance.
Wow. Well, I certainly remember being obsessed with playing Atari games in the late 70s and early 80s. And it seems like Scrabble is almost representing an older people's type of game in this film.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, it's one of the most popular modern games in terms of board games, but this is a huge transitional moment. By the time you get to the 1980s, you have Nintendo, you have Sega, you have these juggernauts that are extremely profitable, and the cultural form of video games starts to take off.
Yeah, there's such interesting, important cultural history and thrilling that you and colleagues are teaching this at the University of Chicago.
It's wonderful to get to do this work with students who, of course, grew up with games.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Patrick.
Of course, thank you.
Well, stay here because we have another film involving a game coming up. Audie Murphy and Charles Drake play game chess in a Western from 1959.
Next on TCM, no name on the bullet. Then the apartment. And later, the goodbye girl. TCM takes a hike tonight.